Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video brought to you by SeniorCatWellness.com. In today's material, we'll spend just a few minutes talking about the various behaviors and postures that cats take on prior to death, most notably in respect to disease, illness, and old age. Is it true that cats will run off and hide before death? Is that due to the fact they realize death is approaching, or is it for another reason entirely? Before we take a closer look at this very sensitive subject, let's first explore today's topic overview. Cats don't run away to die. They hide from predators because they know they're weak and vulnerable to predation. While cats don't like to die alone, they isolate themselves to keep their sickness a secret, protecting them from harm. They also do this to conserve their energy and find a quiet, peaceful place to rest. It's unclear where the concept of running away originated in the most literal phrasing, but as noted, most cats do retreat to some degree. Of course, this is very much subjective. It not only depends on what is wrong with the cat in question, but also the environment, the overall setting. If your cat is on the verge of death, the concept of quote unquote running away is not an option. Instead, your pet will either rest in its normal bedding space or perhaps retreat to a distant and somewhat atypical part of the house. However, it is also not totally out of the question for a cat to spend its final days and hours right by your side. If your pet feels completely safe in its environment, your feline will have no issue being exposed in this way, hanging right there by your side until life's adventure comes to an end. Before we address today's first subsection, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us. Your viewership and overall support of Senior Cat Wellness is very much appreciated. Whether you are a returning viewer or you've been here for years, thank you and welcome. We hope you find this video helpful, and we do hope to see you again in the future. Now, let's get started. Before we take a deeper look at the concept of running away, hiding, retreating, and what have you, let's talk about what a cat could be thinking in those final days. Can cats truly sense they're about to die? In truth, there's simply not enough research to conclude that a cat really knows that the end is near. There's really no way to prove it. However, they are very much aware of their own sickness and weakness. This much is certain. Cats are also able to pick up on several external cues. If a cat begins to smell because proper grooming has declined to such a great degree, then that perhaps alone will let them know that something is just not right. While it can be said that cats retreat because they know the end is near, or even look a certain way because the end is near, none of that is truly clear. It could honestly be a situation where we place our own fears, feelings, and assumption onto our cat because we think the end is near. That could be entirely true. However, whether or not a given cat truly knows, that is very much unclear. In respect to our core topic question about cats running away to die, and if they do this because death is near, the concept of death is not why cats retreat. They don't leave a space or shelter in place because of death. They do so as a means of protection. Cats that are in distress want peace and quiet. They also want to remove themselves from the line of fire. This is instinctual. Even a lifelong house cat is hardwired in this regard. Visible weakness and illness is just ground zero for a predator. In order to shield themselves from potential attack, they will literally shield themselves. You can witness this behavior even when a cat is only slightly injured. A few years ago, one of my cats sustained a facial injury while outdoors. It wasn't too serious, however, my cat stayed in the bushes near my home for a whole 24 hours away from the action. This was done as a means to rest and recover, but also as a means to stay out of the traffic, just in case a predator saw a vulnerable target. We've noted instincts. Now, let's detail a few other reasons why cats will retreat. First up, to conserve energy. If a cat is sick and weak, there's just not a lot left in the tank. Health conditions, especially dire conditions, where organ failure and cancer are responsible, energy levels near the end of life are minimal at best. One of the reasons for retreat is so energy can be used in the best possible way. Safety without activity is the desired goal. Peace and quiet. We briefly touched on peace and quiet, and that is a major reason why cats will hide away in this regard. Cats can pick up on negative human emotions. They can sense when humans are in a negative state, potentially a negative state about them. Cats also shy away from interaction and physical contact when they're simply not up to the task and really don't want to be messed with. As you can see, so many of the cool reasons for seeking shelter sort of overlap each other, and for some very obvious reasons. Here again, while none of this confirms that a cat is aware that it's dying, what it does confirm is that cats absolutely know when they're not well and when they are suffering. While as humans, we can see all of this play out, and the actions of a sick cat really aren't for us to notice, they're for the cat. As we've mentioned in other videos and material, whether in the wild and living on the land or living in your home, felines are all about self preservation. Looking out for number one is essential. When it comes to the notion that cats would rather die alone, that is quite subjective. It all depends on the cat and it all depends on the environment. It also can depend on the ailment in question. We do know that cats are most vulnerable during their final days. They shield themselves. Instincts tell them to hide. However, there are instances where cats can become quite affectionate as the end draws near, wanting to be around their owners. Here again, so much of that depends on the cat's ailment, the cat's surroundings, and the bond it has with an owner. Although solitary instincts typically win the day, and in the final hours, most cats will indeed retreat to somewhat of a safe and sheltered location. When it comes to that location, where cats go when they die all depends on the environment. As you can tell, situations seem to rule the day, and that has become a theme of this video. If we're speaking of outdoor locations, under bushes, under cars, inside a garage or shed, in the woods, inside of a box, an abandoned building, just anything that is stealthy. In respect to a home setting, allow me to offer up a quick personal story. I lost one of my cats 2 years ago. As of the time of this video, he was either 20 or 21 years of age, senior cat for sure. He passed away in his bed, which at the time was under a table somewhat off to the side of my living room space. I could personally tell, some 72 hours or so prior to his death, that something just wasn't right. He wasn't in the best health simply due to his age, but this time around, things looked a bit different and they also felt a bit different. Given his age, it just seemed the best thing to do was just to let things play out naturally. He didn't get up from his bed for a couple of days, refused to eat or drink. He mainly just rested in place, a bit hidden away, but still in open view. His bed was placed near my other cats, who were at the time about 4 years of age. As for his passing, he just slipped away during the night. It was peaceful. While I'll never know the actual cause of death, he was 20 plus years of age, and he seemed to die as peacefully as one could have hoped for, given the situation. I respected his space. I kept watch over him, but I just felt something was different, and I knew what it was. So I just let the natural cycle of life just sort of do what it does. Whether he knew he was about to die, I'll never know, but he died in my home, in his bed. Probably the best possible ending, all things considered. While this topic is indeed very important, and I certainly hope this video has been helpful, it's best not to think about and analyze this topic and topics that are similar. Don't think about them too much. If you're a proud cat owner, my advice to you is to simply enjoy the moment. Enjoy today. And if tomorrow comes, make the most of that day. Your pet will eventually die, but let's not dwell on that process and what this all means and what that all means. While that's not to take away from the value of this topic in any way, life is best when it's lived in the moment, rather than wondering about your cat and what your pet will do during its final days and its final hours. Cats don't run away because they're dying, but too much time stewing about it can make your mind run away, and that's not helpful. Here again, live in the moment with your cat and allow that future, well, allow it to take care of itself. And on that note, that will close the curtain for this video. However, if you'd like to know more about this topic, we do invite you to visit us at seniorcatwellness.com. There you will find a full-length and high-quality article dedicated to everything we've talked about today and so much more. We hope you'll check it out at the conclusion of this presentation. Are you currently watching us offsite? If so, we encourage you to click the initial link in the description box below. Said link will take you to the article in question. And until our paths cross again, and I certainly hope they do, we'd like to thank you once again for joining us today. Please have a wonderful day. All the best to you and yours, and we will talk to you later.